On this episode, we talk about everything you would need to know to start being a traveler.
Start traveling now.
From the very beginning.
Cool.
If not now, when?
When will you start traveling?
Atlas All Access starts now.
Curtain at 0450.
All right. Episode 24.
24.
Wow.
We're like a quarter way to 100.
We are.
Almost.
You're smart with math.
Next week.
Next week.
There we go.
Next week will be fun. I can't wait. We'll talk about let's talk about it right now,
Yeah,
actually.
let's do it.
So next week will be our first call-in show. Like, I thought it'd be fun to do a call-in show, but
Yep.
then, I don't know, it's weird to call the number. We record it before it actually goes live and whatever.
Sure.
So then we thought, okay, record yourself on your phone. I know, I understand. Like, not everybody's comfortable recording themselves or whatever.
Sure.
But seriously, just turn it around like you're taking a selfie and ask a question. Hey, Adam, why is your beard so awesome? Whatever. Yes.
Yeah.
Whatever the question, it can be about anything.
Sure.
Tell me about bill rates.
Yep.
I want to know how much you pay in insurance. How do you get to how do non-billable hours figure into my pay package?
Sure. Yep. A lot of great questions out there. We'll answer them.
Or if you just absolutely cannot record yourself here, you can tweet me. And I put my Twitter is on Facebook in that little thing that I announced this morning there on Facebook. It's Rich Smith 1138. And if anybody knows what 1138 is, you get bonus points for that. So
Cool.
Yeah. So
I'm excited for those questions.
I think it'll be fun. So that's next Thursday's episode will be that. So I can't wait for the questions.
Excellent.
I think that'll be fun. So this week we talked about it a little bit. I'm sad that you didn't go to St. Louis with us this year.
I know.
It was it really was. It was a blast. We had so much fun. But one of the questions that came out from multiple nurses there about other nurses that they work with, so perm nurses working there in St. Louis, is where do you start?
Yeah.
Where did you start?
Yep.
How do you start?
Yep.
So I think we've got some good jumping off points here.
Sure.
If you were to, as a recruiter, talk to a nurse for the first time who just calls you cold, been working perm for 5 years.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that this topic came up yesterday when you emailed me about it, but I literally at like 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon talked to a newbie traveler, and it was like the exact words out of her mouth is, "Hey Adam, I've been talking to a lady that works for you, and I've been wanting to do this for a year, and I just can't make myself do it. Will you help me? What do I need to do to get started?" and those kind of things. So it was great timing for me to kind of think about the topic and what it came up. But some of the things I kind of told her, and maybe these are things that you wrote down, is I told her probably the number one thing that I tell newbie travelers is, are you financially stable?
Okay.
Do you have enough money in your bank account for when something bad happens? Contract gets canceled,
Sure.
Contract gets pushed back, you don't like said contract, and we put a 2-week notice in, and you might have to take a couple weeks off till we get you to the next place. Are you financially stable to take those couple weeks off, 3 weeks off? And with everybody, that's different. I can't put a money value on there. I can't say, hey, do you have $2,000 in your bank account?
Sure.
I don't know what your bills are. I would say, do you have 3 months living expenses? I think that's
so you could back it out. You could back that out and say, okay, this is what it cost me per month.
Yes.
Times 3.
Yep. I mean, I think any financial advisor that you go to says in your savings account you should have 3 months of living expenses. You break your leg, you get in a car wreck, you should have 3 months of living expenses. You can pay your mortgage, you can pay your house payment, you can pay your
whatever else
taxes, whatever else is on your budget. And I don't know what your budget is, and a lot of times I'm not going to ask you. Obviously, it's none of my business.
Sure.
But that's what I usually tell people is are you financially stable? If something happened, Because let's be honest, in the travel world, it's not if it's going to happen.
It's when.
It's when it's going to happen.
Right.
It's going to happen.
Right.
To my best travelers, it happens. To my worst travelers, it happens. And there's no rhyme or reason when that's going to happen. So are you financially stable to pack your stuff up and go on the road? I would say that is number one.
Okay.
Anything that you would add to that?
I would say that's a very good place to start. Make sure that you have that financial backing to do it.
Yep.
Because you're going to miss a couple checks there in a row, right? You're going to give your notice. Your start date may not be for 3 weeks out, 2 weeks out, whatever it is. You're going to need a little bit of that cushion right in there.
Yep.
I think the second thing is, and this goes back to where I spend most of my days anyway, social media.
Yep.
Right? Go find those resources that are out there and you use them.
Yep.
Highway Hypodermics has been around forever.
Yep.
Case Lane has been in the industry for as longer than I have.
Yep.
And she's been traveling even longer than that. So before she started that.
Yep.
Wealth of information. And the questions might even start at, what's a good company to work for, right? She does a top 10 list every single year based on nothing but questions that companies answer and the reviews that nurses give. That's it. So there's no bias there whatsoever. Doesn't matter that she worked for us for 2 contracts. Doesn't matter that she worked for our friends up the street for 2 contracts. Doesn't matter. Right? It's completely unbiased. I guess I said biased there, didn't I? Completely unbiased. So that's a great place to start.
Yeah, and that was another one that I came up with is do your homework, do your research, and that can be through online, Gypsy Nurse pages, Highway Hypodermics, Wonderlist, Scrub. There's a ton of great resources out there. Secondly, find a mentor. On those pages, you can ask for a mentor. You can ask for people that have done contracts before. If you're talking to a specific recruiter, ask your recruiter for 2 or 3 people that are working with them on contract. I have my 2 or 3 go-to people, Kathy and Kim. And a couple others on there. Brandy and Michelle are awesome. But find those people that you can go to and say, hey, how does this work? How does working with Atlas work? How does working with Company B work? Have you worked with other companies? Why do you work with one company over the other? Those are the people that you need in your corner. Once again, when you get a contract, you want to take that contract to somebody and have them look it over, as well. So do your research, find the people that you can ask the hard questions to, because sometimes even good people have a hard time asking me questions sometimes. So, I always refer them, hey, if you need an extra person to help you along this way, let me know, and I will get you in contact with those people as well.
And you touched on it a little bit there, and I had talked to a nurse just not too long ago. In fact, it was right before we took off to come back home here from St. Louis last week. Where do I start? Right? She would message me through Facebook. Where do I start? And I said, first and foremost, I think on top of everything we've talked about, there are a couple very, very good groups out there that are very well run that I think that are a great place to start. I mean, if you just want to lurk for a while, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. There is a ton, and I mean, Wanderlust and Scrub Squad, I think they're run by travelers, and they don't get paid anything for it. They do it just because they want good information out there. And they are always available. They'll look at contracts if you want to. So will Kay. Kay, if you send her the contract, whatever, from any company, she will look at it. Sorry, Kay, if I actually just gave you more work to do. So hope John's doing well, by the way. But any of them will look at that contract for you. So
research second, and then probably the third thing that I kind of talked to her about yesterday was experience. She said, "Hey, Adam, I've got a couple years of experience and everything. I don't know that I'm ready, but these mentor people that I've been talking to are telling me that I'm ready. And what do you think?" And I told her, most jobs, they're going to want at least 1 year, if not 2 years, in the specialty that we're submitting to be qualified for a job. So if you're working PCU tele right now and you've only worked there for 6 months, I'm probably not going to have a good chance of getting you placed somewhere.
Right.
Not saying that I never will.
Right.
There's just, I would say the majority of facilities are going to want 1 or 2 years of experience on
Yep.
there. There's obviously different factors with every different hospital, but in her case, she was at a level 1 trauma hospital on a 55-bed unit. Like, I told her, if you have handled that for 2 years, you're probably going to be able to go wherever you want with that experience. But I told her as well, are you confident enough in your skills?
Right.
Because it's not if you have the skills, are you confident enough? You're going to have to walk in. You're going to have to not know a charting system. They're going to have policies that are different from your home floor.
Yep.
They're going to have a bunch of different factors that are go in there. So even if you're qualified, are you comfortable in your skills to go out there and do that as well?
Yep.
So, and a lot of times, I have a lot of newbies ask me, well, I did med-surg 5 years ago and now I do ICU. Can I go back and do a med-surg contract? Once again, you're rolling the dice on a lot of those things. 1 to 2 years in the specialty that we're submitting you to. If you can qualify in there, I think you have your best chance.
I agree. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think the last thing is you have to understand, you have to personally understand why.
Yep.
Why do you want to do this?
Yep.
Money is a fine answer,
Yep.
right? I mean, if you want to go make more than you made as a perm nurse, okay.
Yep.
But understand that though, and any traveler out there will tell you this, the contracts that pay the most probably aren't the most glamorous.
Yep.
Right?
You're not going to go to San Antonio, Texas and make a boatload of money.
No, you're going to Devil's Lake, North Dakota.
There you go.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, it may not be awesome, but you're going to make a ton of money.
Yep.
And so, or maybe you're young and you want to travel.
Sure.
And money isn't, you want to make money. I mean, you want to make the most you can, but you want to ski, and then you want to see a beach, and then whatever.
Yep.
But as long as you understand your why, then I think you'll be okay. And you keep that in mind. And you communicate that to your recruiter too.
Yep.
As long as your recruiter understands, okay, this contract I got to make money. Next contract we're going to a beach.
Yep.
Contract after that we're doing whatever.
And I think putting it your why is a good way. I know you and I have talked about on here as well. I call it kind of your bucket list. What's your bucket list? And have a top 10. I tell a lot of newbies, have your top 10. You might want to go to Seattle. You might want to go to Denver. You might want to go to Asheville, North Carolina. Those can be on your top 10, but if I can't get you there, what are the other 7 places that you're fine with, that you can travel to those places because you're close?
Yep.
So, being open to location, especially on that first contract. Your first contract is the hardest one to get.
Absolutely.
You're competing with travelers that have already got 1 to 7 travel contracts underneath their belt. If you're a manager and there's 10 of you and 7 of them have travel experience preferred, they're probably going to get interviewed first.
Right.
So the more open you are to location, the more successful you are going to be landing that first contract. And then we'll get you to Seattle or Denver or San Diego, your next contract on there.
Devil's Lake, North Dakota.
Devil's Lake, North Dakota.
I don't even know why I remember that one. Probably because it's Devil's Lake.
It is.
I don't know. I don't even know if we have any jobs right there.
Mine I joke with is Fargo, North Dakota.
Oh, Fargo, yeah.
Kayleen and Allie love me for Fargo. I never got them to go there, but it's our ongoing joke of hey, we'll get you to Fargo, North Dakota.
There's some
Just
decent
take a job.
There's decent stuff in Fargo, I bet.
I bet there is.
I bet.
Yep.
So the whole thing that brought this up, and that why I started thinking about this was, if you follow me on Facebook at all, I posted a video yesterday. I've been following Will Smith now for quite some time. Will Smith is fascinating to me. He has reinvented himself. This is the 3rd time now.
Sure.
Right? He went from rapper to actor.
Yep.
To now he's like a speaker. He gets paid for speaking engagements.
Like a motivational life coach kind of guy.
Yep. Maybe that's, well, yeah. Somehow he has reinvented himself for a 3rd time, and so they asked him how he got the job as Fresh Prince, or how he got that TV show, and he was super honest. He's after that first album with DJ Jazzy Jeff came out, he spent all his money, and the IRS came after him, and he didn't have the money to pay. He forgot to pay his taxes, and he's like, well, I was 19, 20 years old, and I didn't know anything about that. And so somehow he got, it was his girlfriend, who's his ex-girlfriend now, said, you got to go do something. Like, you got to get out of the house.
Yeah.
Get out there and do something. So he flew out to LA, and somehow he got a meeting with Quincy Jones and Brandon Tartikoff from NBC. And Quincy made him read for this, like, okay, you're going to read for this show, which turned out, this is fascinating, because I love Morris Day and the Time. Yep. Remember the Time from Prince, Purple Rain.
Okay.
Morris Day.
Yep.
Okay, so it was called, originally Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was called Out of Time, and it was Morris Day, and then he bailed out on him for some reason. I don't even know why. Anyway, so they had him in mind for this, and he's like, wait a minute, I'm not ready to audition. Like, I can't do this right now. And Quincy's like, okay. And you got to watch him tell this story. He's like, okay, we'll do it next week. But then Brandon Tartikoff won't be here next week. And then he's like, okay, well, maybe in 3 weeks. He's like, well, then it'll get rescheduled. Or you could just take 10 minutes right now and change your life. And that got me. Like, just what are you waiting for?
Sure.
Just do it.
Yep.
Make sure you got all this in order, cover all your bases, but just do it.
Yep.
Just make that jump. And there's a whole world out there. I promise there's a whole world out there. It doesn't work for everybody, but at least you took your at-bat.
Yep.
Right?
And that's the thing is I tell people is sometimes you're going to fail, sometimes you're going to succeed, but at least you can look back and say, I did it. I gave it my best chance. And a lot of you are great staff nurses as well, and you go do an assignment, it's not for you. I'm sure your staff job is going to take you back, or you'll find a better opportunity afterwards. So stop procrastinating, find a good recruiter, find a great company, and get out there and do it.
Give it a shot.
We'll see you next time.
See you next week.